Glad you're here and able to join us today for this weekend devotional. I want us to think about a verse in James, the first chapter, verse 2. It says, "Count it all joy, my brother, when you meet trials of various kinds." I believe James is talking specifically about the difficulties that they were having within the church, dealing with within the church in this letter. The possible persecution of looking at man and showing partiality. I also believe that James was looking at the everyday life or the happenings of a man. In today's world, we seek to have many others do work for us. We seek mechanic work. We seek work on specifically heaters. We have people come and work on sewer lines. We have people come and work on water lines, or maybe a water pump that supplies our house. And there are times when there are companies that are neglectful and being honest. Sometimes they do a great deal of work. I dealt with a company last week that they did a great deal of work that was unnecessary work, unnecessary replacements. And this week I dealt with a company that we worked on a heater and we talked and visited in, and we replaced what seemed to be the correct parts, some of them costly parts. And we have difficulty with that as people. It costs too much money, it costs too much time. It's somebody taking advantage of us. I don't think this particular company was taking advantage of me. We had a difficulty and we had turned the gas way down on the new piece. And it came with yet more difficulties. It seemed to be the same situation. We become upset. We become uh, discontented with the amount of time it takes, with the money it takes. Maybe we are in maybe we find ourselves in a health issue or a relationship with having a difficulty with someone in a relationship. Maybe it's a neighbor, an associate, a family member. Uh, all of these sometimes come into our life. All of these, sometime or another, we will see them enter into our life, and we have difficulties, and we fall apart. When they do, how does the world see me? I, in particular, fell into these situations this week, last week, in two different situations. One of being abused by a company, one of being just simple little things happening that are difficult to detect, difficult to trace out and figure out what's going on. And you look and you think, man, that I'm paying for hours and the bills are beginning to add up, and situations are. I just don't know if I can pay for this. I don't know if it frustrates a person. But when they do, when it happens, how does the world see me? I talked about this idea of an example here a while back, and yet it becomes more frustrating than just that idea. In Romans, the 12th chapter, verses 1 and 2, he says, "I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your spiritual worship." This is me as a Christian. "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by the testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, what is acceptable, what is perfect." We began looking at the big issues. We began seeing the bad sins, the big things that discredit us as Christians. And most of us can say, "Well, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't fall to these bad sexual sins. I don't fall to cheating people. I haven't ever murdered anybody. I haven't ever even maybe I haven't even thought of killing somebody or thought being angry with somebody in that manner." I want you to think about that for a minute. We consider what we look at as the greater sins. It's what people see of me. I don't commit all these great sins. I'm at church every Sunday morning. Wednesday night, I teach Bible class. I do this, I do that. I want us to go to Galatians, the 5th chapter. I don't know that I've ever used these two verses together, but I want us to think about what he's saying. We'll start in verse 16. He says, "But I say to you, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing things you want to do. But if you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law. Now, the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, and orgies, and things like these. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God." He's talking about falling back in. I do have forgiveness of sin as a Christian, but I want us to think about what he's saying. The greater sins. And yet he comes to a point where he says enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy. These are sins that are so easy for us to exhibit each day because I feel like I have been put upon. I feel like I've been taken advantage of. I feel like maybe that somebody has cheated me out of something, out of time, out of labor, out of money, out of a good feeling. There's times when somebody hurts my feelings and I feel like somebody has put me out and I become indignant. I want us to think about that for a minute. Very simple little things that happen every day in my life. And well, that doesn't have anything to do with church. That doesn't have anything to do with my spiritual body. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. These little sins, or these things we see as little sins, are tremendous sins. My appearance before man is of the greatest manner. As a child of God, my appearance before the world is of the greatest manner. It's not how does the world see me, but how does the world see God through me. The question should not be how does God, or how is God going to change the situation? How's God going to fix this? Well, why isn't God taking care of this? Why isn't this happening, this happening, this happening? And we place this responsibility upon God. No, what he's saying is, or what we find out is how am I going to handle myself through the situation? Am I going to live up to the standards that God sets before me? Am I going to seek to live my life? And I know that this carries an extreme, this that he's talking about is when one carries it to a point of being a constant lifestyle. But as a Christian, why have I not put away these things? Why do I not live with my life living as Christ lived? Living to love mankind. This Sunday, we're going to talk a little more about this, and I hope that you're able to join us or to come and meet with us here at Dora, because it is something that happens horribly in the world, and we find ourselves in situations. We listen again each day as difficulties take place in the world, shootings out of anger, people that are upset with the situations at hand, going and doing extreme things. They didn't start out that way. They started with little things. Little things. How do I, as a Christian, how does God look to the world if they're looking through me? I hope that you will join us. Thank you for being here, and may God bless you.